Hello and welcome to Rocket Gaming and More, and I'm going to be talking about Transport Fever 2 today. I'm going to start actually just getting right into a trailer that's on Steam, and then we'll actually look at a few other videos, and then I'm going to actually look at a gameplay video. These are not my gameplay videos. These are not my, obviously not my trailer on Steam. I have nothing to do with the game, but just showing what I've learned, and I'm going to talk about some of the features as well. So go ahead and get started here. And please like and subscribe. So right away when I saw this video, I was like, wow, this is pretty, the city looks pretty detailed, and the fact that you can obviously put transportation in it and modify a number of things. But this next video is also pretty cool as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start showing that now here too. So yeah, this game's coming out here pretty soon on December 11th. I'm going to go ahead and take you into a gameplay video that I found online as well. This is not my gameplay video, so I'm just talking about what I'm finding out about the game and breaking it down a little bit. And then I'm going to come back to the Steam website here in a minute, and then I'm going to go over some of the features that are mentioned here as well. So this is to go ahead and start on the gameplay video. I'm not going to make this one full screen, I don't believe, because I need to actually show remember what points to actually show in the video here. So I'm going to go and start now.
Irving Games. Today I have the great pleasure to show you for the very first time gameplay of Transport Fever 2. Transport Fever 2 is a tycoon game where the player connects towns and industries to let the world grow and to earn money. Trains, ships, planes and different types of street vehicles are available to build up a transport company. The game starts in 1850 and the player experiences the change of time until today. All content, including stations, towns or people, is changing its look over time. In this video I will show you a fictional map around 1970. We are on an island and I have already built up some things so I can give you a good introduction into the game. The map was built with the tropical climate zone and we use here the Asian vehicle set. Transport Fever 2 also contains a temperate and dry climate zone, as well as a complete European and American vehicle set, so our beautiful island is a very specific example. The main goal of the game is to build up a profitable transport company. You earn money by transporting people and cargo. Towns play a central role in the game. The more they grow, the more money you can make. So let's have a look at how towns work. If we, for example, zoom into Haikao, we see the inhabitants, which are all individually simulated. Let's have a closer look and click on somebody. Here's Elizabeth currently going shopping by foot. And here's Wolfgang currently driving home by car. People always move from their home to work, then they go home again, then they go shopping, and so on. It's the task of the player to find out where they move and build transport infrastructure there so that Elizabeth and Wolfgang no longer need to walk or use their cars. There is a layer to visualize these three land uses. People live in the green buildings, go to shopping in the blue commercial buildings, and go to work in the yellow industrial buildings. Now let's look at the bigger picture and see what towns need to grow. For that, I open the town window, which explains in detail how town grow.
So I'm going to stop right here. So I was going to say, I think this is really cool. This game actually reminds me of several different games, but obviously, the prior game, Transport Fever, but also it has elements of the buildings, like for example, in the Steam trailer, they remind me a little bit of City Skylines as well, but I just like that the combination of features that they have in the game, it just looks really good in the way that they're putting it together. So, one thing I was going to mention too is, they did mention again that you're working on trying to transport people from home to work, and then they go home again, and then they go shopping, etc. So finding out where the people are going to be going is obviously a key. At the 3-minute mark, I think it breaks down like a little bit about a bus station as far as how they set that up, and then I'll go into show you where the highway build is as well when they actually work on the highway. So we'll go ahead and start that now.
The town's reachability number, we need to extend the reach of the station. We should introduce a bus line so that people can drive to the station by bus. Starting close to the station, I will connect all 3 land use districts to the station, so that people from Harkau can reach the train station and Harbor by bus, and also people from the neighboring towns can use the train and jeep to come to Harkoi for work and shopping. We will end the line at the harbor with a terminal station to leave room for additional lines or a later expansion with a cargo platform. Having built the stations, it's just a couple of clicks to add a new line connecting them. To make it easier to find it later, I type in a name and set a color. Now we need a depot where we can buy buses and assign them to the line. The buses will spread out automatically after a short time. As we can see, the number has already increased significantly as the inhabitants of Harkau have now more places to go for work and shopping. This will help grow the city. We can still increase the value by expanding the public transport even further. As Hanoi already has a bus service near the train station, another good option is to expand the train line. For that, I reconfigure the terminal station in Hanoi to allow the expansion of the line to Kaohsiung. Changing a station configuration can be easily achieved by just removing the main building and replacing it at the proper spots. This train station was built some time ago, and the historical parts of the station, like the platform and roofs, will be kept intact as long as we don't remove them. In Kaohsiung, we can place a train station right next to the existing tram terminal. Stations placed next to each other allow passengers and cargo to switch between transport modes without the need of a road between them. Of course, stations can be placed in different configurations from the get-go. Now we have to connect the 2 stations. For that, I will activate the layer for overlaying height lines. This helps to find the path with the lowest inclination and least required earthwork, which is important to allow trains to go faster as they don't have to climb hills. It also saves money by constructing. Its capacity. This can be done by editing the existing trains. For example, we can replace the wagons with ones that have more seats, or we can add more wagons to the train. To reduce the time people have to wait for a train, we add additional trains to the line. The quickest way is to clone an existing train. Let's wait for the new trains to leave the depot and drive to their first stop on the line. To shorten waiting time, we can increase the speed of the simulation. The time it takes for 1 calendar day to pass can... Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead now to the 7:48 mark, which is where I see
highway being built, which is pretty cool. So I'll go ahead and do that now.
Highway between Hakao and Kaohsiung. We could even build a more direct route with a tunnel, but that would be very expensive and I want to save money for later projects. Directly connecting the highway to the edge of the city may result in a bottleneck, so it is advised to come back later and see how the situation developed and if it needs further improvement. Next we have a look at the demand for cargo. Each city demands 2 different cargo types, one has to be delivered to the commercial and one to the industrial district, as we can see here in the cargo layer. Hakao's commercial district demands food, which is one of the more simple chains, so let's start with that one. Luckily, there is a food factory not far away from the city. Currently, it is not producing anything because it lacks the required resources, in this case grain. So let's find a nearby farm which can supply the food factory. We could use any transport mode to deliver the grain, but in that case it makes sense to use trucks, as the farm and the food factory are relatively close to each other and we have already built a highway, so give it a second purpose and also use it for our trucks. To load and unload our trucks we need truck stations, so let's build one next to the farm and the factory. Let's set up another line for our trucks. And let's build a depot to buy new trucks. Many trucks have specialized versions that can only carry certain cargo types, but have the advantage of more capacity in return. As we only deliver grain on this line, I will buy. It is currently a passenger station, so we will expand it with a new track and platforms which are suitable for cargo pickup and.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead now to the 11:30 train delivery. Again, these are not my videos. I'll try to put links here in the video itself, in my video, so you can actually find these as well. But I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead now to the 11-minute and 30-second mark, or somewhere around there. Let's get up here. There we go.
Let's wait for the train to make a couple of deliveries and have a look at the info video of the food factory. Now that the factory can ship its goods, the shipping value is increasing, and later on the transport value will rise too as soon as the food arrives in the city. This now also has a positive impact on growth, which will even increase further when more deliveries are made. When all 3 values of an industry, production, shipping and transport, are above a certain threshold, the industry will grow to the next level, allowing it to produce and ship more cargo. Here, the next step would be to connect another farm to supply more grain and eventually find a new city to deliver the food to. As I pointed out before, every city has a demand for 2 different cargo types. For the second example, let's find a more complex chain and go to Manila. Here, the industrial district demands machines. Machines require steel, which we can get from this island. Here I have already set up truck lines to deliver coal and iron to the steel mill and a shipping line to deliver the steel from the steel mill to the machines factory. Another truck line is delivering wood from 2 forests to a sawmill where it is turned into planks, which is the second cargo required to produce the machines. And there's a truck line already supplying Manila with the machines, and thus the factory did already grow. There is still some shipping capacity left, so we need another customer. There is a passenger airline going from Manila to Jakarta, so let's use part of the existing infrastructure. For that, we need to add cargo terminals to both the airport in Manila.
Yeah, this part here is pretty cool too. I like the way that they have the view and the planes and everything, and the way they've set this up. So it looks kind of interesting, the different options that you'll be able to do here. So I'm going to go ahead and show this part now. And then we'll see some aircraft here coming up, and then how you can reduce emissions as well during the game because they affect the city as well.
And the airfield near Jakarta. Both airports have bus terminals next to them, so let's expand them too and add some cargo platforms. In Manila, I will use the existing truck line by adding a new stop to deliver machines also to the airport. Keep in mind that we should check if the current amount of trucks on the line is enough to both supply Manila and Jakarta with machines from the machines factory. The industrial district in Jakarta is the destination for our machines. To avoid bulldozing buildings, we can use this drop-off stop and place it on the sidewalk. The new lines also need vehicles, so let's buy some planes and trucks. Note that there are two categories of planes, small and large. On old airfields, like the one near Jakarta, only small planes can land. Modern airports can handle both small and large planes. Something similar is true for ships. Large ships need bigger landings to be able to dock at the harbor. While our inhabitants are now happy to have public and private transport services, as well as a good supply with cargo, there are also things that hinder city growth, so let's briefly touch on them as well. With growing cities and more people using our services, stations may begin to overcrowd. Here in Haikao, we can see that several stops of our bus line are already overcrowded, and so potential customers may not use this bus line as a consequence. A good measure is to add more or newer buses with more capacity, or add an alternative line which provides a shortcut between the most crowded stations. If a train or bus terminal is running out of space, we can also increase the length of the platforms. In Kaohsiung, we can see that there is heavy traffic on several roads. This is probably due to our addition of the highway from Haikao. To counter that, we can upgrade the road to a wider version. Houses will be moved if possible, so the cost stays manageable. Crowded junctions may also be upgraded with traffic lights, or a roundabout can be added to ease the flow.
There's another cool feature here I like is just the roundabouts that you can add. The road you can modify as well. As again you saw earlier, they built a highway and then traffic increased going from the highway to the city, so then they've upgraded the roads here.
Of traffic. In Jakarta, we have an issue with the emissions of our recently added trucks. However, in that case, we can easily address it. When we added the truck line to deliver machines, the line was routed through a road next to the residential district. To avoid the residential district, we can build a bypass. This has two positive effects at once. The emissions are kept away from the inhabitants, and the route is even a bit shorter, increasing the amount of cargo our trucks can deliver. In other situations, reducing emissions might need more work, like rerouting entire train lines or reallocating noisy airports, replacing vehicles with more modern versions, or adjusting the maintenance level is another option to counter rising emissions. I hope you enjoyed this brief look into the gameplay of Transport Fever 2.
Yeah, take a look here just at the end of this video, just the detail as this plane takes off. I'll show you that here.
Of course, there is much more we didn't have time to cover in this video. This map was only one example of the challenges provided by the several game modes.
Oh, and I'm going to mention, yeah, I see I'm talking about the different game modes here, so it's kind of cool.
If you want to enjoy an entertaining story with varied tasks, there's a campaign mode with 18 missions waiting for you. And the map editor and the random map generator allow for virtually limitless possibilities to create and share your own challenges. In addition, a sandbox mode is available if you prefer to build whatever you like without being concerned about the financial aspects of the game. If you want to learn more, visit our YouTube channel and have a look at the past development highlight videos, which cover the map editor and other interesting topics. Thank you all very much for your attention. We are looking forward to finally releasing the game. All the best and frantic greetings from the whole team at Urban Games. Bye.
Okay, so yeah, again, this is their video here, and I'm just talking about it. So it's coming out on December 11th. In the last video I'm going to show you here before I talk about the features again, which they already mentioned most of those here, but here's one I found I have not watched yet, but this talks about, I believe, the world editing mode, which kind of is interesting. It's another feature of the game as well, so should be interesting to find out what they have to say here. And this is on this link here. I'll try to add the links in my video as well.
In this series, we aim to show how we incorporated feedback from the previous game into the development and what efforts were made to make Transport Fever 2 into an excellent gaming experience. When creating Transport Fever 2, one of the biggest goals we set was to find a balance between how the game plays and how it looks, and make both parts a great experience. Not only should it be enjoyable to create and manage vast and complex transport networks, but also to create and shape the world itself, from the big picture down to the smallest details. So the first part of the series is all about creating and editing the world in Transport Fever 2. Please note that the user interface shown is still from a concept phase. The first step to play the game is generating a map. For that, a sophisticated and flexible generator is available, which is capable of creating diverse landscapes in various climate zones. A random generator takes care that each map is a unique experience with its own challenges. At the same time, the player can take the reins, thus a wide range of parameters including, but not limited to, terrain, water and vegetation can be adjusted broadly. From an alpine region to a paradisic island, everything is possible. The possibilities for adjustment also extend to man-made structures on the map. The generator can fill a landscape with towns and industries, and the same is true of course for roads. Like in all the other aspects, the game can decide on the starting conditions, or they can be adjusted to one's liking. While adjusting parameters on a macro scale is easy and accessible, editing the small details is important too. So after generating the map, it can be edited manually. The terrain is fully editable and not fixed, neither is the shoreline, which can be changed without giving up the ability to build structures like tunnels under the sea level. And another thing I want to touch on, it is actually possible to paint onto the terrain. Use it to change minor details or get creative. In combination with the various assets, everybody can create something fun and or beautiful. Committing to decisions is part of what makes a game challenging and interesting. However, when it comes to the visual part of the game, we believe that nothing should be final. This is why we put a lot of effort into assuring that everything is reversible. For example, removing roads from the game restores the landscape, and painted terrain can simply be erased to get back to the generated state. All I showed you so far are steps taken when generating and editing the map before the game is played, but what we learned from the first Transport Fever is that players not only want to spend time preparing a map, but also want to edit and design when they already progressed into the game. This is why we decided to invest into making these features available at any time. Editing and painting terrain, as well as placing and removing towns and industries, is possible at any time. So the game becomes a huge sandbox if desired. On top of that, it's also possible to return to the generator to add or remove features or even import an adjusted height map. Another important goal was to make the world feel diverse. So not only does the game has various climate zones, each zone comes with its own mood, and this mood can be changed too. This adds to the sandbox aspect, which should have as little limits and borders as possible. And to make the world alive at the same time, there is something to discover also offside the roads. We hope this first impression gives a good introduction into some of the parts of the game. Much more is to come, and we will show you some of it in the next episodes of the development highlights. Thank you all very much for your attention and good introduction.
Okay, so that was a couple videos that we just watched. These are not my videos again. Once again, there was a gameplay video we watched where they were showing obviously gameplay, and that was pretty good. And then I really like this one as well, just to show that the different options you have with the terrain, even plopping down cities in different areas as well. I think this is going to be a really big feature, actually, what we just watched here. I think that people are going to have a lot of fun with that. I know I am when it comes out here, and I'll be streaming this as well. So I think we already touched on a lot of these features. Couple of notes I made here earlier, where there's over 200 vehicles. There's an in-game map editor, which obviously we just found out here. There's an economy transport simulator, and there's also modding support. And I wanted to scroll down to the free your creativity section. I think we already know about most of this here, but I just want to read this real quick. Thanks to the detailed game world, you can develop your very own virtual railroad landscape. The map editor provides the possibility to create countless different worlds. The terrain in the game can be adjusted and painted, which we just saw. And thanks to the extensive modding support, new creations are being developed constantly. which are available for free through the Steam Workshop. So the Steam Workshop is going to be a big part of this as well, and which can be easily integrated into the game. So that's going to be really cool. Here's again some of the extra features, or the main features I should say. Free play with countless configuration possibilities, 3 campaigns across 3 continents with over 20 hours of playing time, editors for creating maps and editing saved games, 3 landscape types, moderate, dry, and tropical, realistically modeled vehicles from Europe, America, and Asia, a total of 200 vehicles, trains, buses, streetcars, trucks, aircraft, and ships, modular train stations, bus and truck stations, airports, and harbors, realistic harbor simulation including one-way streets and light signals. That's pretty cool. Editable and paintable terrain with realistic effects. That's pretty sweet. Intuitive construction tools for building railroads and more. Display important data such as traffic and emissions, which we saw in that first video, emissions. It's going to be pretty cool. You can find out how to correct that as well, pollution problems on separate layers. Dynamic economy and city simulation, more than 10 economic chains with associated factories and goods. This one I'm not quite sure about. I wonder if they can expand that over time, because I mean there's only so many options there, but at least I like the way that the transport is set up and the creative options here. Cities with countless residential, commercial, and industrial buildings, detailed game world with physics-based lighting, and I do like the look of the game as well. Individually simulated land animals, birds, and fish, which we saw. Over 50 challenging achievements in free play mode. Extensive modding support via the Steam Workshop. So again, this comes out in December. You can find this game on Steam. They probably have it elsewhere too. I would assume maybe GOG, and I don't know. I'm not really sure what other websites, but I really like what I saw here, and I will be streaming it. If you subscribe, I'll be showing more of those once the game comes out. And I also stream a lot of different types of simulation games. So yeah, if you want kind of a one-stop shop for that, I'd be a good choice or good option for you. So I hope you like the video. I hope you subscribe, and I hope to see you again. Thanks for watching.